This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1104, and it's the Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, Tennessee, artist, producer, mogul, he's back, Derek Miner.
What up, though?
Just on the road there in Nashville, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And our newest cast member from Social Club Misfits, it's Marty.
Hey, what's up?
Is that really what you're going with? You did What's Up last time.
Yeah.
You said, Marty, it's me, or at one time?
It's me. What's up?
You said your name. You referred to yourself in the third person.
Model, olive oil enthusiast, Marty. It's me.
There you go.
You need to drop like a fun fact about yourself every time.
I need to think about that. I really need to.
You gotta help me write your intro, dude. Help me write your intro.
Yeah, I'm gonna chat GPT it today.
I've done that, actually. I've chat GPT'd intros for like different guest segments and stuff. It's usually pretty good. Yeah.
Hey, man.
So that doesn't work when your name's Emily Brown, because there's a lot of people for ChatGPT to pull from. So I'm a very accomplished person, though, according to ChatGPT.
They're like Emily Brown, the renowned scientist.
That's what I'm saying. If there's an AI takeover, you're going to be pretty well off, because they're not going to want to mess with you because you're so accomplished. You know,
that's right.
That is true. Yeah. There's another writer named Emily Brown. There's I think a lot of athletes named Emily Brown. So if you Google Emily Brown, I'm doing fantastic. Like, I am really on top of the world here.
There's only a couple, according to Google News, there's only a couple Jesse Careys, and mostly they're notable for random crimes they've committed in Canada and North America. So, you know.
Are you talking about yourself in the third person again?
I only know of two other Cameron Strangs. One is the president of Warner Brothers Music. He started out running a country label. And so, like, I get thanked on a lot of weird album liner notes. And people will send it to me, like, online, like, what did you have to do with Johnny Cash's, best hits, And then...
what were you doing on Dierks Bentley album?
Exactly. Dierks Bentley, exactly right. And then the other Cameron Strang was an 11th-month-old that fell out of the third story of a building in Illinois and lived. So if you...
Yeah. Okay, that took a turn.
Oh, bro, they had us in the first half. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You had me in the first half, bro. I was like, whoa.
He lived. Anyway.
Good for him. I do have a question I've been dying to ask you guys, because, this group of guys, I feel like we've got a good chance here. I've seen this going around online. How often do you guys think about the Roman Empire? And be honest.
All the time. Honestly.
Zero times.
All the time.
Emily, it's a joke.
I've seen this going around too. The joke that men think about the Roman Empire almost daily or multiple times throughout the day. I rarely think about the Roman Empire. I almost never do. But there are things I do think about frequently. Like,
what are they?
I find myself coming back to the idea of, like, who's the first person that saw a horse? Right? Because it happened at some point in history. It was like, that's the one. That's the one we're going to ride. Like, we're going to ride that thing forever. And what did that look like? There are tons of smart, big animals that move quickly. Why? There, at some point in history, there's some guy or woman
said, I'm getting on that.
I'm going to jump on that thing.
I'm assuming they looked at the teeth and the claws, and they were like, you know what? I think I got a chance with this one.
But what
I don't know about that jaguar over there. I probably
but again,
pretty fast. But
you got buffalo, you got all these big animals. And who was when they finally did it, right? What was the reaction when he rode it back into the village or the tribe or whatever? Like, was everyone's mind just because that happened at some point in history? Somebody rode up on a horse and no one had ever done that before. Like, think about you're just chilling out by the fire, because I guess that's what they were doing,
Right. Yeah.
Eating whatever you're eating at the time,
berries,
forage,
probably.
berries,
Seems like early.
Yeah.
And your homie just rides in on a horse. Like, is your mind just total? Like, your whole reality has to be like, we can ride those things.
Look,
I think about that all the
person was either like the person no one in the village thought could accomplish anything, or like a Vladimir Putin type cat. There's no in between. It's like he was either like just this muscular, like, that dude's a savage And he just like, that's another savage thing he did. Or it's the guy that's like, I think he's a little crazy.
It's the crazy weirdo or the savage weirdo. It's either one of them.
But it's a weirdo nonetheless. Like
I think about this about
weirdo nonetheless.
A lot about food. Who was the first person who discovered if I dig in the ground and pull up this brown bulby thing, it's delicious if I fry it up. You know, like how did they come up with the way we make food? You know, and why we eat what we eat?
Okay, here's
From
one
watching the
specifically.
animals.
Here's one specifically.
Certain mushrooms are delicious and nutritious, and certain ones will kill you instantly. Who figured out which is
will
which?
send you to a whole nother dimension.
Yeah,
A lot of it
exactly.
was trial and error.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error.
Trial and error.
But what I think about with food isn't so much the trial and error stuff. Like, think about something like spaghetti. Who was like, you know what would be cool with this dough that's already just perfectly fine to consume? Let's chop it up and make it look like a bunch of hairs, and then we'll boil it and we'll eat it and see how that. Like, what was the process that they with spaghetti? Like, who was the first one that's
The
like?
guy's name was Salvatore Salvatini. True story. He's Italian. He invented it. If you want to, I know about all these facts. All Italian facts is bringing my way, Jesse. I got you.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Salvatore invented it. He was working late night at a farm, needed something to cook up. I think that was the Cobb salad. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about here.
Bob Cobb.
That was the Cobb salad. So I'm thinking about Bob Cobb.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah.
Curb your enthusiasm. My bad.
I can tell you how fried chicken was invented.
Yeah. How is okay for real?
Because that's crazy when you think about it. It's breaded, right? And then it was invented in the Bible.
What?
Okay.
Leviticus 2:7 in the King James version, because that's the only version I read because I grew up Pentecostal. And let's see, it says that and if thy libation be a meat offering baken in the frying pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And thou shalt bring the meat offering made of these things unto the Lord. When it shall be presented to the priest, he shall bring it to the altar. That's literally in the Bible.
Bring fried chicken to the altar.
Fried something, batter it in fine flour and oil. And you know what a sacrifice was. It's to be burned. So dip it in fine flour and oil.
Do you think
fried in a frying pan and bring it to the Lord?
Do you think that there was just some priest somewhere who's like, man, I am hungry. I got to write some laws right now.
Wow.
He was writing a recipe and accidentally made its way into the Bible.
I just got a whole chapter about weird dress code stuff, and I am starving.
And you know these sacrifices add some season on it, bro. You know,
I still like to think of some hillside somewhere where they're like, I haven't seen Frank in a couple days. He was, we're sitting here, we get our big pair. What the heck is that? And then over the horizon, who's coming on top of
Frank
a horse?
on the horse?
Here comes Frank
With
Changing
fried chicken.
humanity. Yeah.
Imagine the smells. They've never smelled anything like that before in their life. They're like, what is this? Like, what's going on here?
Like who invented let's put salt on something? It's just like dirt on the edge of like an ocean.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean, who said I'm going to go scoop up all that stuff that's dried
That one
on
feels
the
like
shore?
it was an accident.
and
Like it
seasoned.
accidentally got on there, and it was like, wait, this is actually pretty good. And then they just kept doing it.
It's
How did they
amazing
know
to
that
me.
cocaine went through your nose better? How
Right,
did they just
right.
just eat it
Whoa.
like a little ball of?
Whoa!
Now my wheels are turning over
Your
here.
Miami just popped
Yeah,
out,
I'm
buddy.
sorry. I was actually thinking about the fried chicken thing because in California, Koreans love fried chicken and they have tons of fried chicken spots. And so the other day I asked the owner, I was like, hey, so how did this even start? Like, how did Koreans get into it? And he started telling me this whole story about how it was invented, and this guy behind me goes, he cursed. He's like, that's BS. He's like, you guys were taught during the Korean War. He's like, black soldiers taught you guys how to cook. And the guy's his whole mission statement from the wall that he was reading off of. He's like, my grandfather, he started it at 1920
Grandfather learned from
and the guy behind me was
Jerome.
like, that's crap. No, it's not true. You stole black soldiers taught you guys. And I remember the guy was like,
Tyrone taught him how to make fried chicken.
Tyrone
bro.
taught Jin Sum how to do it, and it worked out perfectly.
And it worked.
Hey,
But listen though,
Korean fried chicken is the
Quiet
best
as
kind of
Really
food.
good.
Korean fried chicken crazy, bro.
And they
I
eat it with
don't even
spaghetti.
sit up there and hold you,
Jesse,
bro.
they eat it with spaghetti.
Do
I didn't know that.
And you know they learned that from black
Spaghetti.
people.
I don't know
bro.
why it's called Jollibees. You can go there. They serve it's fast food. It's fried chicken, spaghetti.
All right.
Bro, Korean is really, shout out to my Korean homies. I love my Korean homies. But y'all really is like light-skinned black people, bro, for real. I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
It is, bro. When you go to Compton and you see the Koreans in Compton, you're like, I've just seen Korean Kendrick Lamar. Like you you'll see like dudes with dreads and they're like hanging out and they're flagging, like they're throwing flags in there. It's a real thing. Like
I would
they
love to
embrace the
see
culture.
I would love to see like a documentary on like how the Korean War and black culture begin to like influence one another. You
They
know
like
what I'm
liked
saying?
each other so much more than any other culture. They stuck together.
It's random, bro. Like it's very random. For sure.
So no, Emily, we don't think about the Roman Empire. We think about other weird stuff.
We got way off track.
We think about other weird stuff all the time.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, this is actually so much worse than the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So what? So the
think
idea
about the
is
movie
that
300
men
more.
think about. We say men think about the Roman Empire. What
There
do
was
they
like
mean?
a-
Because
I
if
think
we're
it started
talking
with
about Jesus in the Roman Empire, like I mean, I guess
that's
you
a
could
good point.
say you think about Rome almost every day. You know what I'm saying?
I think it started with like a TikTok. Some girl, I think, asked her boy. I can't remember how it came up exactly, but basically, some girl asked her boyfriend, like, "How often do you think about the Roman Empire?" And he said, like, a couple times a day. And it was like, "What? That's insane." And so then people were like, "Let me ask, this guy in my life how often they think of it." And so many guys were like, "I don't know, a few times a week or something like that." And it was just like,
And then everybody started playing along. Like all the
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
started
yeah.
playing along, telling the girls that we think about it like 10 times a day and like aqueducts and all these things. And,
Yeah.
and all the girls on TikTok are like, is this real? Like people can't figure out if this is a real
Yeah,
thing. It's really funny to me that guys are like
the first lady, we have to ask her what her occupation is, if she's like a history teacher or something of that nature. And she was talking to her boyfriend. He's obviously going to placate to her ideas because he's trying to have an excellent night.
Affections.
He's trying to have an excellent night. So
Yeah, it's like, all the time, obviously.
It's fascinating.
I love it. I just love it.
Medieval
And
law,
then
the
the next
Magna
girl
Carta,
found out
all
about
kinds
why
it.
did the guys sound like that? Why were they all?
groaning at the same time.
That
Let's talk
is
about that.
Now, that's what I was gonna say. Every man in their mind is like that. We're stuck, and we just come up with whatever. Literally, every man is literally Steve Carell. Like at some level, we are various versions of Steve Carell that's just trying to figure life out.
Speaking of a man trying to figure life out, Phil Wickham joins us later today. I don't know. I'm just trying to say.
Great transition.
Sure. Aren't we all, Phil?
Does Phil Wickham look like Steve Carell? Yes or no?
Phil Wickham is one of the best looking men in the Christian music industry.
Hey, Steve Carell is a handsome
looks
guy.
good.
Yeah, what are you trying to say about
We're not talking season 1, Michael Scott. That was a different man.
Yeah, we're talking after
Hold
he became a
on.
movie star. Yeah.
Bro,
Gray
Steve
hair,
Carell
pepper-
fly,
pepper
bro.
Steve Carell.
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
He looks great.
Steve Carell is fly, bro. Like
Now, not season 1.
Remember when he had to get hair plugs? He talks about it on the
what I'm
commentary.
saying.
He's like, man, before I lost weight, had hair plugs. I was such an Office fan. I was watching commentary, like full through. And he was like,
Well,
man,
sure.
they were making fun of his baldness and he was chunkier. And he was like, man, I got taken care of in season 2. From the
Well,
Dundies.
they cast him.
I thought
they
he
cast
was
him
more
to look more
relatable.
like the sweaty Ricky Gervais character, you know.
Yeah.
So they want him to look like that, and then they figured out we have our own thing. This isn't trying to just be Ricky Gervais. And then he got movies and stuff, so he had to lose weight for the movie roles, like Knocked Up and
Phil
Well, it just confused
Wickham
me
is a
too.
very handsome man, but I feel like if we put some like circle glasses on him and just give him the pepper, you know what I'm saying, the salt and pepper lip with a beard, I think we have a Steve Carell.
I give him like 20. He's like, I don't even think he's 40 yet. So he's got some time to get salt and pepper hair on his own.
Yeah, for sure.
there you go. All right, well, we have your feedback at the end of the show, and right now, stay tuned. Up next, it's Relevant Buzz. You're listening to Declan McKenna. The song is Nothing Works. Okay, really optimistic
That's a
song.
sad
Start the
song.
show with just a little upbeat ditty. Nothing works.
Nothing works. I
that's
promise
Frank
that's how I
after day
feel
one
when
of
I'm
trying
at
to
home
break
and
a
my
horse,
kids
yeah.
have been home for the summer. Like
Yeah,
nothing works. They just broke everything. We're like,
Yeah. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by HelloFresh. HelloFresh is offering relevant podcast listeners a special deal right now. You can get 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Now, HelloFresh is more than just dinners. You can also stock your fridge with easy breakfasts, quick lunches, and fresh snacks. Just shop HelloFresh Market and add any of these tasty, time-saving solutions to your weekly box. And there's a lot to choose from. HelloFresh's menu includes 40 recipes and over 100 add-on items to choose from every week. I've been using HelloFresh for years. It has made me an amazing chef in the eyes of my friends and family. So I love HelloFresh, and you should try it out as well. Go to HelloFresh.com/50relevant and use code 50relevant for 50% off plus 15% off your next 2 months. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/50relevant and use code 50relevant for 50% off plus 15% off your next 2 months. All right, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
All right, tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
All right. Well, last week we talked about the ongoing writers and actors strike. I'm not giving another update. What I am going to talk about is something really fun that's kind of happened because of it. A few days ago.
Oh, no. Sorry.
I'm trying to give a positive spin here.
Oh,
Okay.
got it.
A few days ago, some of the actors got together to start an online charity auction with the Union Solidarity Coalition to help benefit crew members whose healthcare benefits are currently at risk during the strike. So, yes, unemployment. But this is a really great thing. Like these celebrities are just honestly getting really creative and offering really interesting opportunities for people to bet on through eBay.
Bid, not bet. Bid.
Bid on.
That would be way more interesting.
that would be crazy.
Jesse.
That would be
Like
crazy.
mono battles that you bet on. Yeah.
Or celebrities like, how much you want to bet? I can jump over this fence. Just a running
Bad
start.
idea.
We're all
You know what I
thinking
mean?
back
Like-
to you know that question you just asked, like, how long do you think about Romans? We're all thinking about Roman stuff, dueling to the death, little thing. Like, we're all kind of going
Jousting
back.
or something.
Jousting.
I want to see just a random celebrity. I want to be like Sylvester Stallone. Like, how much do you want to bet? Running start, I can just clear that picket fence right now. All the proceeds.
I want to buy
I lose the
$1,000
bet.
Sylvester Stallone sword fight with him. We fight with swords to the death.
$15. I will bet
$15 I
you
bid.
$15. Just clear
Just so
it.
you
One
might
jump.
have a gambling problem. I'm just saying. Like, sports betting might have.
I've been on a hot
gotten a
streak
little-
lately, by the way. This is
Yeah.
week 2 NFL.
That definitely took a different. That I hate to disappoint that there is no Sylvester Stallone bets or anything like that. What you can't, I will give you some that you can do that are less violent, but also more than $15 because some of them are going for a couple thousand already. One of the ones that I think is the funniest, Adam Scott, who played Ben Wyatt on Parks and Rec, he will walk your dog. And you can join him on the walk.
That is
if
awesome.
you want him to.
That is awesome.
It's based in LA only, so
I'm gonna do
Marty,
it.
You gotta, if you have a dog, or if you don't,
It's
go
gonna be
buy a
long
dog real
walk,
quick.
Adam. It's gonna be a long walk.
You can also Zoom with pretty much the entire cast of New Girl. So like Zooey Deschanel, Lamorne Morris,
pass on that.
Max Greenfield. You have like
Wait,
an
you
hour
don't
long
like
Zoom
New
with them.
Girl? You don't like?
I mean,
the
New
Zoom
Girl
thing is
good.
lame.
I just, it's like to me a version of 4 different shows in one, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Zoe. I'm just not a fan of her. She's like,
Well, you can tell her that on Zoom if you want.
I'm actually. How much is it? Just kidding.
I think it's going for about $3,000 right now.
I'm trying to see who is Zoe. Zoe Deschanel.
I mean, she was great in Elf.
What's she playing?
She was great in Elf. She's a girl in Elf.
she's
She's a great
she's
singer
dope.
too. She's like a very interesting
What
voice.
can you bid on her?
Too
What
much
can you
going
bid
on.
on her to do, Emily?
The whole cast on Zoom.
It's a
Just
Zoom
hang
with the
out.
whole cast of
How
New Girl.
awkward is that?
That would be awkward, man.
And you're like, hey guys, I spent $4,000. This is my grandma's inheritance. I spent it on this. I spent my
That's what I'm
grandma's
saying.
inheritance on this.
That's what I'm saying. What would be much more interesting for me would be like, I could bet you $50 that you can't eat a large pizza Like in one sitting, 15 minutes. So
Okay, you could try this. You can get dinner with Bob Odenkirk and David Cross.
That's cool.
That'd be
That's
fun.
very
That's
cool.
dope.
So that could be fun. And I absolutely think you could convince them to do
I would
like a
100%
pizza
bet on
contest.
that. I love David Cross and I love Bob. Better Call Saul, right? Let's do it.
What else? Okay, Natasha Lyonne, she will help you solve a crossword puzzle.
There you go. Okay.
Whose manager made that? Whose manager
I'm
was
really
like, you know what, my
shocked.
employee
I'm
should do a
4 down.
crossword puzzle via Zoom.
Yeah.
I feel like she was probably asked to do it, and she was like, "What is something that will take the least amount of time and that I
sure.
kind of have fun with?" Like she's already doing the crossword
She's like
puzzle.
Sylvester Stallone's over here jumping over fences. I'm just going to do a crossword
Jousting.
puzzle.
You can get the cast of Bob's Burgers to sing a song written just for you.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That
Put
could
on
be fun.
iTunes.
Yeah, that's
There
dope.
you go. John Lithgow will paint a watercolor portrait of your dog.
That's awesome.
Okay, that's
John
cool.
Lithgow?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kinda neat.
That would be a great conversation starter.
exactly.
For like
Dinner
your
party
4-year-old.
conversation piece right there. Yeah.
And they did give examples on eBay. Apparently, he does this a lot. This is like his
Is it
secret
like
hobby.
the George Bush
They're
who
not
paints
bad.
dogs
Yeah,
thing?
it's the Epstein paintings. Basically, he painted those in Epstein's house.
Relax.
Oh my gosh.
He painted Bill
Relax.
Clinton with a 9/11 like.
Don't put that on him. Don't put that. He is a good man.
Yo, he's actually really good
No, he's
at
awesome.
painting.
He's also a great actor.
No, they're actually.
This
they're
is
pretty
crazy.
good.
I'm looking at his paintings. Like
Yeah, they're
he
not
is
bad.
really good.
It's one of those
no
things
cap.
where like someone who's talented is just talented in all things.
I want John Lithgow. I want John Lithgow to paint a picture of the cast of New Girl on Zoom singing to me. How much will it cost?
All staring at you.
There's a billionaire who's going to buy all of these, and he's going to do all these people do his bidding. Basically, he's just going to make them all do his little thing.
That would actually be really funny. One person
that'd
wins
be
it
a
all.
great movie, right?
What if I bought a Zoom call to have them like do like work? Like, hey y'all, input these numbers into a spreadsheet for me.
There
real
was
quick.
Good. I like that
who
one.
is it? Rosemary DeWitt and someone else. They were going to offer relationship advice via Zoom.
I'm good.
Yeah, right now,
Jonathan
celebrities
Lipnicki.
giving relationship advice is really what we want right
Yeah.
now.
Jonathan Lipnicki, the little kid from Jerry Maguire, he's going to be singing in front of your house if you want. I see that on eBay.
Holding a
The little kid from Jerry
box over
Maguire,
his
he's
head.
grown up now.
Yeah.
He's not a kid anymore, but he will sing in front of your
The
house.
average human head weighs 8 pounds.
Yeah, he will sing in front of your house for you. He'll serenade you and your girl. I don't know why. That's going for $30 though.
Oh, that's
So
sad.
he hit hard times, or no one's bid on it.
Maybe that one just started.
You see that one?
That's pretty low.
There it is.
That's rough.
But yeah, there's a ton of other experiences. There's also like signed merch available. Like you can get an apron signed by the cast of The Bear. You can get a Hawaiian
that'd be
shirt
cool.
signed by Daniel Radcliffe that he wore while he was playing Weird Al.
That's
I
awesome.
think it's funny that that's what he's
That's
offering
dope.
because
I like that.
I know he's got a lot of Harry Potter memorabilia.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
kind of that's messed up.
I actually
just-
think he probably doesn't. He
again,
seems like he's so over Harry Potter. He probably threw that stuff in the trash.
that's the thing that you were like, I have this wand from like the fourth movie.
Yeah.
Y'all want it? Like,
I want to
I know
see
that.
that.
He can't do it.
I
They
want to
won't let him.
see Gary Busey. $50 says you can't lift that old tube TV clear over your head. Just and hold it there. $50.
I bet you can't. I bet you can't eat a
bet
hot
you
dog
can't.
Gary
Clear over your head.
Busey in one bite. Let's see.
Yeah.
With his teeth. Let's see what we could do.
I bet I can fit 6 golf balls, standard golf balls, in my mouth at one time. Here we go.
I was about to say that.
40
How many?
bucks.
Because remember
40
last
bucks.
week's.
I lose. It's going to the writers.
wait,
Let's do
so
it.
in the bet, are you also doing this, or you just want to see if he
No,
can do
I'm
it?
betting, and if I win the bet and
Yeah.
they can't do it, they have to pay me out of their pocket. If I lose, I make a donation of said bet amount to the writers
So it's
or
like a side
actors or
bet
guild or
on
whatever.
on the bidding. There's a side bet that you added too.
That would be more
All right.
entertaining.
What else?
Maybe
you
they'll
have,
go
Emily?
for it. We'll see. There's also something I wanted to talk about was this really interesting study that came out that we thought was really surprising. In the first half of 2023, abortion rates increased pretty significantly from recent years, which is shocking considering last summer the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
How is that possible? Because like of the states that pretty much banned it, and those people have to go to another state. It's not like 100% of the people who would have had the procedure in that state travel across state lines. How is it possible that it's gone up?
Right. So there have been some reports of women that have traveled across states. Mostly, what experts are saying is that the rise in abortions can be attributed to a growing reliance on what are called, quote, self-managed abortions. And these are things like abortion pills that can be accessed from your physician or via telemedicine. And that's really where the increase comes from. So if I'm a woman in a state where abortion is illegal, after a certain time is illegal, I can still access a telehealth physician in another state who can prescribe a pill that is then sent to me.
Well, and I think that's like one of the nuances of the life conversation is like, seeing the issue of being pro-life beyond just legislation, because, there is a paradox where scarcity creates demand. You look at like, it's not like people stopped drinking during prohibition. It's not like people didn't use substances that were illegal for a long time.
It's not like just because I didn't listen to secular music just because I wasn't allowed to when I was in high school.
Exactly. But I think there is a case that the pro-life conversation should address other issues beyond just the legality of a medical procedure, because people who want something are always going to find a way to get it. But how do you address the why they want it in the first place, whether that's economic reasons or social reasons or lack of access to different types of medical care, or, I think it opens up an interesting conversation about what the future of, is the goal of the pro-life movement to limit access to abortion, legal abortion, or is it to limit the number or to decrease the amount or eliminate the number of abortions?
During the Obama administration, every year the number of abortions went down, and that's just so antithetical to what you would think or what the narrative in the media is. And then now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned in this year since, there's been a significant increase in the number of abortions versus a couple of years ago, which is just, it doesn't make sense to me, on both sides.
And there was the first few months after Roe v. Wade was overturned, there was a dip because a lot of women didn't know, that there was other options. And now that there have been resources that have been released, like you said, if someone wants something, they're going to find a way to get it. And I think you make a great point, Jesse, that the legality of it should not be the end goal. It should be addressing the reasons behind it.
Right.
And I think that is like a really, like, this number, yes, is obviously don't love that number. But it is a reminder that there is a conversation to be had and that there is still things that need to be addressed and things that need to be talked about.
We should ask Phil Wickham. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Phil. It just. I don't think anybody in the pro-life movement who'd been working for decades for the law to be overturned would have anticipated that this has been the early results. Is that,
or maybe they did. Like, I think sometimes the reason why I say maybe they did, because sometimes in situations like this, you have to think. If I'm thinking long term. So, like right now, this has created this uptick because people have found out about it. But then after time, they would probably think that the curve would flatten, and if it doesn't flatten, they in some big trouble. Because you did all that work for nothing. You did all that work for nothing. You isolated a certain block of people. You know what I mean? It's gonna be I say this all. I feel like I say this every podcast. We're in some crazy, unprecedented times. Though. This is just crazy.
Yeah.
I also think we need to ask Phil how often he thinks about the first guy that ever rode a horse that I just saw one and jumped on that back.
I like that.
Took it into the village.
Said, I'm getting on that. I wonder if it was like a drunken dare. They had some berries had gone sour. They ate the wrong mushroom, and so they're just running around in the woods.
Right, actually,
they tried to ride an elephant afterwards, and that didn't work out. They're like,
I really think it was
elephants. People ride elephants.
Cameron, what you're suggesting is there was some sort of strike in the village. In order for those striking,
I bet you can't jump on that horse. Yeah,
they're like, listen, man, I want to help you out here. Why don't we do some fun bets? Bet you can't ride that thing.
Look, if they don't get this UAW strike figured out y'all, we're gonna be riding horses and elephants real soon.
That's true. No cars. No cars.
Gonna be riding elephants and horses real soon.
I'm about to ride a horse. The gas right now in California is like $5.87.
My gas just shot up again. I'm so glad I got a Tesla, boy.
I know. I need to get something else right now. $70 for
I haven't been to a gas station in 5 years.
My wife is complaining, but I'm like, hey, should have got a Tesla.
What a brag, Cameron.
You know
what a brag. He's like, I haven't had this conversation in 5 years. Really?
I haven't been to a gas station in 5 years.
Oh my gosh. He's like, hey guys, I own a Tesla.
I just care about the environment, man.
What if you own a
Just
Volt?
doing
You're
my
like,
part.
I actually don't even own a Tesla. I own a Volt. And that also doesn't need gas
Doing
either.
your part.
Not really as much of a not as much of a
Dude,
flex.
we had the very first, we had a Prius back in like 2004. I've always cared about this stuff.
Half electric.
Oh, you had a Prius?
Yeah, I didn't drive them. My wife did. My ex-wife did. But but I bought it. We care about that stuff.
That was the beginning of the end right there.
It's like, I bought it.
Good God. Well, actually, we had a lot of issues. But yeah, the Prius was definitely the main one. Yeah. All right. What's the last thing, Emily?
Okay, the last thing is the National pulled a major surprise earlier this week and dropped a brand new album in the middle of the night. In April, they had dropped their last album, The First Two Pages of Frankenstein, and just randomly in the middle of the night, they decided to drop a whole full album called Laugh Track. We have one of their songs here.
It finally hits me, a miles drive. The sky is leaking, my windshield's cracked. I'm feeling sacred, my soul is stripped. The radio's painful, the words are clear.
All right. All the dads, all the young dads just got really excited.
I like it because it's like, to me, they clearly took a page out of their new collaborator Taylor Swift's book and dropped like a surprise sister album. And I think more artists should do it. I don't know how hard it is to drop a surprise album. I assume not that easy.
Lauren Daigle just did it. I guess it wasn't surprise though. It's like, hey, I have more tracks that I like.
Marty, is it easy?
Yeah, you just upload it. That's pretty much it. And then you just do the promotion. That's pretty much it. You just tell people a little less time.
Yeah, to be honest, when Beyonce did it like a decade ago, it was like, oh, what a novelty. Now it's like, well, why didn't you just tell us it was coming? Like, what benefit is it?
I think Beyonce's
the benefit of Beyonce doing it is it's such a media shock.
Like, but when I hear the National, it's like, why didn't you just kind of give us a heads up? I would probly would have downloaded it. I would have
pre-saved it. Yeah.
But I think it's more interesting that like it hasn't even been 6 months since their last album, and they like that's what's more like Beyonce dropping a surprise album changed everything pipeline. For sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say
two albums in 1 year. That's huge.
Rappers been doing 2 albums in a year for 20 years.
DMX.
Yeah. That's
like
true.
It's
like in rap, it's like I'm hot this year. I'm just gonna feed it until
the National is like their songs live for like 10 years. So hip hop is just different. But yeah, it's you basically upload it and you don't tell people until like it's time.
I don't consider that a surprise. I just consider that like a notification. A surprise is Frank riding into that village that first day. This is just a notification, like ding! Oh, National release an album. Okay, I see. Got it. It's not. I'm not like, oh, I have to sit down. This is so shocking. What a surprise! Turn of events. The National. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I'm not bashing it. I mean, I like the National, but I'm just saying.
But you know what? That's a good point. I think you're also bringing up the disposable. Like how disposable music is right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it would be a time when an artist of a certain caliber, if they dropped 2 albums in the year. I remember when DMX dropped 2 albums in the same year and went platinum on both. It was crazy. It was a huge deal. Now you have to drop 2 albums just so someone will listen to the first album.
Now, if it was like if there was like a 4th Christopher Nolan Batman movie that just came out, that would be surprise.
I would be excited to watch it right now.
I would be like,
a surprise movie feels different.
Yeah, because it's actually surprising.
That's crazy.
Because it's surprising. I think my point is like that's surprising. You know what I mean? Like a music, the album thing just isn't surprising anymore. It seems like a lot of artists do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not.
All right, that'll do it for
Relevant Buzz.
Check out relevantmagazine.com every weekday where we're covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. Thanks, Emily. All right, stay tuned. Up next, we have a lot of questions for Phil Wickham.
This life gon' tick time bomb. Nobody Nobody know when he gon' pop out the clouds. Stay ready until the time come. I wanna hear, well done. Just like filet mignon. You never too old, you never too young. Come follow the king, move some. Yesterday gone, don't think about the past. Didn't know who I was under the mask. It look greener when you look at they grass. Jealousy make you blind to what you have. I never trip, never fall. I get up quick, clever. No, we won't be here forever. Walking with God made my principle better.
You're listening to Caleb Gordon. The song is Yesterday Is Gone. For our guest today is Phil Wickham. He just released his latest album, I Believe, which is his 10th studio album. We talked to him about his journey, how he got started, and how his new project was inspired, actually, by the deconstruction movement. Here's our conversation. Phil Wickham.
Nobody but Jesus could rescue me from that grave. Yahweh, Yahweh, who gets the glory and praise? Nobody but Jesus.
Is it hard to believe that you've done 10 albums?
It kind of is. And that's not including some of all the live ones and my independent one. Right. And so it's sometimes, it's hard to believe when you say it. It's like 10, that's a lot of songs and effort and time in the studio. But then I think back and start like thinking through the seasons each one was created in. And it's like, yeah, that was a lot of life then. And that was a lot of life then. And it's like, I guess I have been doing this I signed when I was 21 and I'm 39 now. So I've got some years, under my belt doing this. Mm-hmm. And just, none of this was a dream. Like this was all of this, like the Summer Worship Nights tour and being a touring worship artist at all. Like it wasn't the plan. I didn't even know I could ask God to make this the plan. It just wasn't even like a pathway I thought I could take. I was going to community college and leading worship at my youth group and for my church as like an intern, an 18-year-old kid, and that was great. And I thought I'll go to college, get a little degree, work at a church, and I was excited about that. It wasn't a stepping stone to like, but one day I'm going to make it. One day people are going to come to my arenas and like we didn't even know to ask for this. And we're just like, God, you're just too kind and good and help us to be responsible with what you've given us to handle, because it's very, very precious to us to be able to have an impact in people's lives. And for that to scale to where it's gotten, it's just, I couldn't be more thankful, more like humble, like almost like scared, humble, like, Lord, help me not to do something dumb. Like, I want to be full of integrity and a man that people trust to be behind the things I'm saying and singing. And so I'm just thankful. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that that's the attitude that you have as well, that you're just grateful. And, it is funny to think about, like you said, you got started in like youth group and it's like none of this was your plan. Do you have any memorable like youth group worship nights that like I don't know if like the first time you did it or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first like season. I don't know if I remember the first time, but I started leading worship when I was 13. I started playing guitar when I was 12.
That's young.
Well, my parents led worship as long as I'd been alive, since I was born. And so I grew up in that kind of atmosphere. So it wasn't like a strange thing, it wasn't like a new idea. It was kind of like, this is what you do with the guitar. You sing these church songs, And my family had moved from Orange County, California to San Diego, California when I was 12. So I had this whole summer vacation with nothing to do, and guitar became my best friend. And Jesus, that's when I really started a relationship with Jesus, was playing these worship songs in my room, trying to learn how to play guitar. And God just captured my heart through these songs. I started singing to him instead of singing church songs, just because that's what I did. And so the following year, as I got back to school, my new youth leader, he saw that I could play guitar, and he legit shoved me on stage. Like, you are leading worship this morning. When I walked into youth group, I'm a new kid. Like, I'm way more comfortable with like a Narnia book sitting in the corner than on the stage with a guitar. And it showed that first couple months. Like, I didn't really know how to do it, Mm-hmm. And but I just kept getting opportunities. I remember we'd have these we called Friday night fellowship. at kids' homes. Parents would open up their home on Friday nights, and everybody would get dropped off, and it would just be like pandemonium, like 80 junior high kids jumping in the pool and on the trampoline and eating way too much pizza and drinking too much soda. And then at the end, like around 8 o'clock every night, we'd all hunker down in like the living room or around a fire pit outside, and we'd sing for like an hour and pray and give kids a chance to receive Jesus. And I kind of became the unofficial worship leader for those nights. And that's when I fell in love with the idea of leading worship, because I remember by then I kind of knew enough. I probably knew 8 songs by heart, which is the amount of songs I needed to play that night, Mm-hmm. And so I would get my guitar out and sing, and kids would start singing. And I just fell in love with the presence of God and with this idea that like I could do what I love, but God is in this too. And there's something bigger than the sum of the parts. And I remember thinking, I want to be here as long as you want me to be in these moments, God, I will be there. And so I think it's just like ever since then, it's 25 years of just saying yes to those moments, and little by little, God just, those moments having a little bit more weight and a little bit more size and breadth, but still the same goal, which is just to use music to hopefully help people to have an encounter with the Holy Spirit and be reminded about who God is, and let them emotionally connect with God in a unified community.
I love that. Yeah. And it's cool to see, like you said, like the trajectory of like you started just leading worship for a group of people, and you still are doing that, just in a slightly different way. But no, I love that. I did want to ask, like while you were on tour and with this album out, was there any songs that you got to sing that just like really connected with the people that were there, that like maybe that like surprised you as well?
For me, the song I Believe Every Night, it's just so full of energy and such a declaration. Singing that in the crowd, I believe there is one salvation, one doorway that leads to life, one redemption, one confession. I believe in the name of Jesus Christ. I wrote that in direct response to a conversation I had with a guy who was walking away from Jesus. And I was just so sad for him. He wasn't really walking away from Jesus. He was just walking away from people in the church that hurt him. Whenever we talk about Jesus, he's like, well, yeah, Jesus is great. Like, no one denies that. Jesus like helps the poor and dies for people, but like if the church is representing Jesus, then I don't believe in that. It's like I honestly kind of can't fault him for that. He got really hurt by some people, and so I just want to shout into a world that has a lot of noise, saying like, this is who I am, this is what I believe. I don't believe that my pastor's not going to fail me. I don't believe that the church is perfect, but I believe that Jesus died on the cross for my sins to set me free, and I want to follow him into abundant life. And to sing that over moments was like my favorite part of the nights.
That was Phil Wickham. Make sure to check out his new album, I Believe. Just came out. All right, stay tuned. Up next, your feedback. You're listening to Leisure. The song is Above Me. Laying in bed, you just feel something.
It's above me now.
Well, today's podcast is brought to you by ELIC. At ELIC, they know that people like you desire to bring hope and life change to the most unengaged people across Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. ELIC will equip you to teach English overseas with training, support, and a team of other passionate people. ELIC's Engage program offers 2 to 6 week service options in the summer that's perfect for college students and recent grads. ELIC's 9-month Global Ambassador program is a great option for recent grads looking to grow personally and professionally while living in Thailand or Tunisia. To find out more about how you can make a difference in the world, visit elic.org/relevant. Again, that's elic.org/relevant. All right. It's time for your feedback. So last week, the question of the week was, what's a show that deserves to be rebooted? You guys hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast and on Threads and all the other places and told us your 90s shows that you want to see get rebooted. Here's some of our favorites.
Okay, Curious Cryptid, great name, said the Nickelodeon game shows that got kids to build obstacle courses and play. So like Nick Arcade, Global Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Wild and Crazy Kids. I contend, Curious.
I agree.
Cryptid. Mm-hmm. These are already back in the form of like American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
This is basically Guts for
Floor is lava.
For grown-ups.
Yeah, but put kids in it though. Like kids make it more fun.
Have the kids
and there
get
was
hurt,
something about
not
like
just the adults.
Legend of the Hidden Temple, like the story, like like the little stuff they did.
Cultural
I want to know
watching kids stress out at a puzzle is hilarious.
I would love
when they did the family ones.
I would love to have Steve Harvey hosting each one of these. And in between giving out life advice that we don't need. Unsolicited life advice. That's
Harvey,
what I want.
Kel Mitchell. Steve Harvey.
Who's the other guy? The guy from White Girls who dances. The black dot guy with the shaved head.
Terry Crews.
Right? That's the guy.
Not Nick. Nick Cannon just had to put all his kids on put his kids on the show.
Competing.
His kids are competing.
They compete for his affection. He's like, I only have enough money to provide for 10 kids this month. Yeah. So you 12 compete for who gets the child support this month.
Hey guys, this episode of Guts just got real,
Whoever wins gets it. Whoever loses first gets out of my inheritance.
Oh my god!
Like it just like
okay. But I do want to I'm trying to remember with the Nickelodeon games, was there a cash prize?
No,
was it just
it was a trip
to Disneyland. It was the trip to Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what would be? What's the equivalent of? Is it still we're going to Nickelodeon Studios?
Is there a Nickelodeon studio still?
Yeah, there is, but it's different, right, Kim?
They moved production out to LA and shut down the Orlando one. It's very sad. It's very sad.
Man, see, I always wanted to be on Nickelodeon, bro. For real.
I always like to get figure it out.
Wasn't it No Big Deal wasn't he a contestant on one of these shows? Yeah.
He was on
Double Dare. Him and his brother, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
He was a thicker dude, though.
He was so pudgy.
Yeah, he was thick.
He was just a little pudgy little guy.
That was my favorite arc of his life. When I met him, he was a little thicker. Now he's all like, he's sleek. He looks good. He looks cool. Right. But back in the day when he had short dreads and he was little, like he ate a lot more MSG. That was my favorite version of No Big Deal.
Have you guys seen the old Aaron Paul clip?
A lot more MSG.
Yeah, he just loved Asian food.
Have you seen Aaron Paul on Price is Right back in the day?
No way. Oh yeah. No. Was he dressed up, Jesse?
Yeah. No, I
look it up now.
I think he was wearing some like an interesting, but it wasn't like a costume. I don't think.
Yeah, I think
this is how he dressed.
Wait, this is before he was famous. He was literally a fan. Or
wow,
yeah, and he was on Price is Right.
Yo, he looks so goofy, bro.
Most of these replies are Nickelodeon game shows. Everybody wants to see those get rebooted.
Yes. Nickelodeon, it's time.
I'm with Jesse. We have ridiculous game shows now. Wipeout, Floors, Lava.
Yeah, but nobody's getting hit with slime at the end of American Ninja Warrior. We all were waiting for the slime.
Somebody died on Wipeout. Died because they fell in a weird way or whatever. I mean, like
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to see that. I want to see kids.
I think Cameron, you're making his
low
point.
stakes, but still entertaining.
Wipeout is crazy. Wipeout is crazy, bro.
Yeah, I know. It's better than any of these shows.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Do you guys remember MXP, like the Asian one, where the guys were like, it's like it was on like Spike TV back in the day, and they would be jumping off, and the guy would translate it different. No one remembers MXP. It was really good.
No, I do, but I was like, that's too much. No. It's real.
Yeah, it's really good. And so anyway, it was like they would overdub it. And it was on Spike Television. I don't know what channel that was. It was like a weird It's called Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. And
and it was crazy.
They got hurt for real. Like they got hurt.
Yeah,
I just posted it right here. I put it in our chat. But they got hurt. It's so old school that it's not even on YouTube. It's on Daily Motion. That's just the media website that it's on.
That's funny. All right. Well, that'll do it for last week's feedback. There's more where you can. This is crazy. I'm watching these.
Yeah, watch it, please.
These people are getting legit hurt. And that's
it's crazy. It's
funny.
a lot.
All right. It's time for this week's
editorial question of the week.
All right. Well, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about the Roman Empire and all the weird things that Jesse thinks about, that we all think about from time to time. Me, the origin of food. Who figured out that we could eat that? Who figured out that tastes the way it tastes? Or that if you cook it, it goes from inedible to delicious. So like that kind of thing. Who figured that out? That's what I want to know. Jesse always thinks about
things that are actually interesting.
Things that are actually interesting. Who jumped on a horse for the first time? Things like that. What's the thing that you think about more than you probably should that other people would find weird? Hit us up on Twitter/X at Relevant Podcast, or you can hit us up at Relevant Magazine on Threads and everywhere else. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Phil Wickham for joining us today. Make sure to check out his 10th studio album. It's called I Believe. It just came out. Also, make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every weekday, where we're covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. If you don't want to miss anything we put out, make sure to follow us on all the socials. But if you're too busy for that, you just want the best of the best, head over to the site and sign up for our daily newsletter. We send you our top 5 trending stories each weekday morning right there in your inbox. It's a great way to keep in touch with everything we're doing, or at least the best stuff we're doing. All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap things up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Derek Miner.
I'm Marty.
We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Gary Busey, $50 says you can't lift that old tube TV clear over your head.
Relevant Podcast Network.